So looking at the board here, we have a set of homologous chromosomes. So homologous chromosomes are chromosomes that are in sexual reproduced organisms like us. If you're sexually reproduced, that means that you got some information from your mother and some information from your father. And most of us, like in humans, we have 23 chromosomes coming from mom and 23 coming from dad. But each of those 23 sets, that is, the 23 from mom and 23 from dad, are what we call homologous chromosomes. And on a single homologous pair of chromosomes, one coming from mom and one coming from dad, we will have genes for certain information. So on the board I have drawn here for hair color. If I have a gene for hair color on mom's chromosome, I will also have a gene for hair color on dad's chromosome. They can be different, like I have drawn here, I have brown and blonde hair, so they can have some a little variability in terms of their actual characteristics, but the hair color itself, or the gene for hair color, will always be on that set of chromosomes. Now, another thing to note is that they are always going to be in the same location, or what they call loci. So in other words, mom's chromosome will have a gene for hair color at the same loci as the dad's chromosome will have for the same gene. Okay, so another thing to know is that these genes have a name, and they are called alleles. Alleles, I will write it for you right here. Alleles are spelled A-L-L-E-L-E-S. So on a homologous pair of chromosomes, the pair can have one allele. In other words, both of the genes could have the same hair color. So if I had the gene for hair color brown on mom's and a gene for hair color of brown on dad's, then I would just have one allele for that homologous pair for that gene. Now, in this case, I have drawn two alleles, that is brown and blonde, for that gene. And so the alleles then, or the definition of alleles, is a version of a gene. Okay, now another thing to know is kind of how does this play into sexual reproduction. So in other words, in humans, like if we look here, in humans we have sexual reproduction. So I'll back up so you guys can stop the video if you like and draw this out. But let's look at it a little bit closely. So let's look at mom's side here. So mom's gonads, that is in the ovaries of your mother, would have had a cell that is going to undergo the process of meiosis and produce what we call gametes. Now, in the case of the mom's cell, the initial gonad cell, it will have the complement from her mother and father. That is homologous pairs of chromosomes. So in humans, there would be 23 sets of these chromosomes. And as I undergo the process of meiosis, I'm separating out the sets so that my egg cells, or my gametes, only have 1/2 of the original number of chromosomes. So in humans, I would have 23 sets of chromosomes in each of the gametes. I've just drawn it with one here just to kind of show you that 2 is going to be separated into 1. Same thing is going to happen with the dad's gonad cell. That would be found in his testes. And again, he has some original cells found in the testes that will undergo meiosis and create gametes. The gametes will have half the number of those original cells. Now what happens then is, as an egg and sperm are joined in the process called fertilization, you will create a zygote. A zygote is the original cell that creates you. In other words, you'll have started with one original cell that has all the chromosomes from your mother joined with all the chromosomes of your dad, making 23 homologous sets, or 46 chromosomes total, in your zygote cell. And then through the process of mitosis, you will grow into the big organism that you are. Okay, so another thing about this, here's this is a handout that I sent to you guys in the files. So there is a file that has all these different handouts there. I will provide them with this lecture. But if you look here on the left-hand side, this is the same process, but it's just kind of drawn out a little bit differently, showing you instead 4 chromosomes, or that is 2 homologous sets. And then they are going to be divided into 2 chromosomes per each cell. That is, the number of chromosomes has decreased by half. So it goes from 2N, or what we call diploid, to 1N called haploid. The same thing over on the other side. Notice that I forgot to say that the male part is called spermatogenesis. The other side, which is creating the egg, is called oogenesis, and it's pretty much the same idea. The main thing that's different about human oogenesis is that the egg cell has more of the cytoplasm. That is one, as the first division happens, instead of having 2 equal cells like in the sperm cells, you'll have one cell that has most of the cytoplasm and the other cell that does not. It is called the polar body. And then the same thing happens with the second division. So you end up with 3 polar bodies and 1 egg cell, or 1 cell that's going to actually go travel and join with the sperm. All right, so let me just write the terms diploid and haploid on the board. I forgot to do that, just so you know. So 2N is called diploid. That means it's got 1 chromosome from each parent. And 1N, that is this, is called haploid. It's hard to hold and write at the same time. Sorry, guys. All right, so diploid and haploid. All right.